Our temperatures across the state running 10 to 20 degrees cooler today compared to yesterday, but no complaints. Temperatures still running a bit above normal. It's rather hazy, though, and quite a bit of high-level cloudiness out there. It's cloudy still, 59 degrees, 67% the relative humidity. Notice a light easterly wind, falling barometer. 68 finally our high today, and our morning low, rather cool, 47 degrees. Pollen mold spore count, I hate to show this to you, goes off the top of our chart.
Hoppity Floppity and Friends are now available at Target.
Say hoppity, floppity, hoppity floppity, yeah! With the Oklahoma over.
When you buy a Ford from your Oklahoma Country Ford dealer, you get a commitment to quality from over 100 Ford dealers throughout the state. And that quality commitment has made Ford #1 in owner loyalty.
And now is the time to buy America's best-selling truck for 12 years running. Get Ford F-150 loaded with air conditioning, speed control, tilt steering, super engine cooling, and more for about $11,000. Plus, get $500 cash back right now at your Oklahoma Country Ford dealers.
The Oklahoma Eye Center is expanding our commitment to you with a new location in Henrietta. As always, we offer the finest eye care and the latest technology in cataract and laser surgery. And our new facility offers the same innovative services seniors in Tulsa have already come to know. Free cataract screenings, free glaucoma screenings, free home vision tests. All now available to people in Okmulgee, Henrietta, and surrounding communities. The Oklahoma Eye Center, with offices in Tulsa and now Henrietta.
KOTV 6, Tulsa. This is the News on 6, the 12 o'clock edition, with Glenda Sylvie and meteorologist Mike Anderson.
Another robbery today at a Tulsa savings and loan. Good afternoon, I'm Julie Matsko, sitting in for Glenda Sylvie. Police say 2 women robbed the Sooner Federal Savings and Loan on East 41st Street this morning around 10 o'clock. The suspects are 2 white females. One was in her 20s and had blonde hair and was wearing an off-white ski mask and blue jeans. The other was middle-aged and wore glasses. The 2 got away in a maroon Oldsmobile, license plate ZT1276. The robbery is still under investigation. Oklahomans are voting on the controversial state question 620 today. The polls opened at 7 o'clock this morning, and now voters have the chance to say whether the legislature should end its sessions by the last Friday in May. Recent sessions have stretched into July. Supporters, including Governor Bellman and a number of other state leaders, say passage of state question 620 would force legislators to consider important bills in a more timely manner. Critics say a shorter session would cause lawmakers to vote on bills without knowing enough about them. The polls will be open until 7 o'clock tonight. And a special election is being held in Creek County today to fill a position in the state legislature. Mike Tyler is running on the Democratic ticket and Lester Henderson on the Republican ticket. The winner will succeed Representative Benny Venata, who resigned December 31st. The Discovery shuttle could be forced to return to Earth a day earlier than scheduled if a problem with the hydrogen tank isn't cleared up. NASA says it's getting an erratic pressure reading from one of 3 tanks feeding the shuttle's electricity-generating fuel cells. Mission Control says the problem doesn't threaten the crew, but it could force the flight to be cut from 5 to 4 days, forcing Discovery to return on Friday. Other than shutting down some computers and other equipment to save power, the 5 astronauts on board are going about their business as usual.
Wow! I feel good. Discovery Houston, good morning.
After their wake-up call, the astronauts took pictures of the environmentally damaged areas of the Earth, such as the rainforests of Brazil and the Mexican coastline. The main part of the mission was the release of a $100 million satellite to better ground shuttle communications. With that complete, the crew is now conducting scientific experiments during the remaining days of the flight. Well, officials from EMSA Ambulance Service are trying to sort out the details of an accident late yesterday afternoon that may have contributed to the death of a Tulsa woman. 62-year-old Dorothy Griffin was being taken by ambulance to St. John Hospital when the accident happened. At the intersection of I-44 and Yale, the driver of a car failed to yield and broadsided the ambulance, flipping it onto its side. Mrs. Griffin was pronounced dead at the scene. The question today is why the ambulance originally headed for St. Francis Hospital only to be turned away because of a shortage of intensive care facilities. St. Francis officials say EMSA knew that they were full and should never have headed there in the first place. However, EMSA Director Steve Williamson says that in life and death situations, patients are taken to the nearest hospital, even if it's diverting patients. We'll have more on that story tonight at 5. Well, there was a setback today for the union representing the mechanics for the American Airlines. A ruling handed down yesterday hurts the union's efforts to win higher wages. A federal judge in Tulsa denied the union's request for a restraining order against management's lobbying efforts. In the next few weeks, members will vote on a new contract, which one union leader says offers much too little.
Even though American Airlines has record profits, management has balked on reinstating concessions given in 1983 and 1985 and are insisting on further concessions.
Union workers are voting on the company proposal by mail, and results are expected to be announced the first week of April. Air travelers with unusable Eastern airline tickets may learn today how the carrier wants to handle that situation. The airlines is scheduled to announce plans for people who bought Eastern tickets before the company filed for Chapter 11 last week. Meanwhile, the pilots union is trying to make sure that Eastern pilots don't get lured back to work by high pay. The union is going to pay $2,400 a month to Eastern pilots who honor the machinists' union picket lines. Well, coming up on the news, the latest figures on storm damage from last week's snowfall. And a little later, a controversial news program that may be on its way to the nation's schools.
It was Jimmy's 5th birthday. He was finally old enough to understand when I told him how I felt about him. And this year, oh, it's a big year for a kid, starting kindergarten and all. My message just had to be special. And that sweet girl from MedX seemed to understand. She just knew. And Jimmy, well, from the card, he did too.
We're the medics in your neighborhood. I love you, Grandpa. You always know that you can count on us.
Receptionist with professional training.
Executive secretary, working in a modern office.
Accounting positions with a chance to move ahead.
Medical secretaries and receptionists.
Are you missing out on these and other career opportunities because you don't qualify? Dickinson can help you get the training you need to have a rewarding career that's in demand.
Call Dickinson now at 622-4100 and get started toward your career. That's 622-4100 now.
Now at J. Brophy & Sons Pennsylvania House Gallery, save 40% on the solid wood styling of every Pennsylvania House collection, including this 18th century solid cherry bedroom in a rich hand-rubbed cherry finish, only $21.67. Save 40% on Pennsylvania House sofas, love seats, and chairs. Hundreds of 8-way hand-tied designer styles in over 800 fabrics as low as $7.99. Register to win a pair of Bradington Young leather recliners. Now at J. Brophy & Sons, a Pennsylvania House and Thomasville Gallery.
Got a question for you. If you had the chance, no one would ever really find out, although they may speculate about it. Would you marry someone because they were just filthy rich? On the next Oprah Winfrey Show, when a young, attractive woman marries an older man with money, tongues are always just a-wagging. Marrying for money. We'll talk about it on the next Oprah Winfrey Show.
Tuesday at 3 on Channel 6.
With the failing confirmation of John Tower now said and done, the Senate is ready to open hearings on Bush's second Defense Secretary-designate, Dick Cheney. Cheney is a Republican congressman from Wyoming. Some lawmakers are saying they'd like to finish the hearings and decide on the nomination by the end of the week, before the Senate takes a 2-week recess. An upbeat report today on the nation's trade deficit. The Commerce Department says its gauge of all trade in merchandise and services shrank by 12.1% last year. That's the best showing in 3 years. However, a slowdown in car sales held up traffic at the retail level in February. Retail sales fell 0.4%. That's the biggest drop in almost a year. Analysts predict the decline in consumer spending will continue this year because of rising interest rates. The Food and Drug Administration is warning Americans not to eat any fruit from Chile for now. The FDA found traces of cyanide in red seedless grapes from that country. As a result, the agency is warning against all fruit from Chile. Much of it has been removed from the grocery stores. The Chilean government blames terrorists and communists for the contamination and says that it's stepped up security. Agricultural officials say last week's snowstorm caused almost $22 million in damage to farm buildings and to equipment here in Oklahoma. They also predict that because of poultry losses, the price of chicken is going to go up. Preliminary reports show the storm killed nearly 4 million chickens. Almost 1,200 head of cattle, calves, and horses also died in that storm. A complete damage assessment will be given to Governor Bellman sometime next week. Like I keep saying, I can't even remember that storm. It's been so nice, but the temperature's going to drop a bit, so how much is it going to drop?
Well, we are going to see a cold front move through. In fact, we saw it move through the Tulsa area about an hour ago. It really hasn't got much cold air, but we will see cooler weather moving in tonight. Nothing like that winter storm system that we had the past week. In fact, some very nice weather is expected across the area during the next few days. I'll be back with a complete look at that forecast right after this.
There's a very simple reason Grigsby's Carpet sells so much DuPont Stainmaster Carpet, certified and warranted by DuPont.
The house, the lawn, and my thumb are all the same color, brown.
Call True Green, the Southwest's most trusted expert on healthy green lawns.
I do yard work. Every week I water the weeds, mow the dandelions, herd the grubs.
Our licensed professionals get your lawn thick, green, and weed-free.
Oh, honey, our first lawn.
I remember when we made that first call.
Call True Green now for your free lawn analysis and watch your lawn spring to life.
Centennial Moment is sponsored by F&M Bank.
In 1891, those who saw William Coho farming would say he had traveled far on the white man's road. But today, Coho is remembered as a Cheyenne. Among the last to surrender in the Indian Wars, Coho and 32 others were sent to Fort Marion Prison in Florida. To lessen the sorrow of being far from Oklahoma, Coho drew scenes of family, pictures of hunting parties on the plains, and the ceremonies of the Southern Cheyenne. Once released from prison, these Cheyenne were expected to leave Indian ways behind. But what Coho left behind were drawings that saved the heritage and culture of the Cheyenne for all of us. Celebrating the spirit of Oklahoma, I'm Clayton Vaughn.
Since 1946, generations of Tulsans have placed their confidence in F&M Bank. F&M is a proud sponsor of Oklahoma Centennial Moments.
Centennial Moment was sponsored by F&M Bank.
DuPont certified Stainmaster Carpet from Grigsby's Carpets keeps resisting stains long after the best-known stain guard fails. Now as low as $9.95 a square yard at Grigsby's Carpet and Draperies.
The cold front that moved through Tulsa during the past hour have switched our winds around to the north, but even with those northerly winds, temperatures will remain quite pleasant this afternoon. Currently here in Tulsa, we continue with plenty of sunshine and a temperature of 70 degrees, relative humidity quite low at 24%, pressure rising at 29.58 inches. There's a breezy north winds right now, 20 miles an hour. Record book for the day shows a morning low of 50 degrees. Temperatures are expected to warm up to 76 degrees this afternoon, still well above normal for this time of year. Normal's 37 and 60. Record high of 85 degrees set back in 1977. Temperatures are warming up nicely across all of Oklahoma right now. 71 degrees in Oklahoma City, 70 in Ponca City and here in Tulsa. Already 76 degrees down in McAllister, but look way down to our southeast. Texarkana reporting 80 degrees right now. Temperatures generally in the 60s across southern Kansas. Our national satellite picture from 10 o'clock last night shows high cloudiness across much of Oklahoma. Now, if you heard last night, there was a show of northern lights across much of the central and southern plains. We had high clouds last night, so we didn't really get to see that, but we may actually get to see it tonight as we are expecting clear skies across much of Oklahoma. Now, at 10 o'clock last night, we were watching a very strong storm system developing up to our north. Notice the counterclockwise circulation as that storm system moves across Nebraska. Right now it is producing much of the snow across much of the Dakotas, snow into Minnesota, also snow stretching up across Wyoming and Montana. So very wintry weather expected across that region. Now this storm system has produced the cold front that moved across northeastern Oklahoma during the past hour. That cold front will continue moving off to our east during this afternoon. It will be quite windy across much of Oklahoma and Kansas. Wind warnings are expected across northwestern Kansas during the afternoon hours. Wintry weather expected across much of the central and northern plains, stretching from Nebraska all the way up into the Great Lakes. A lot of snow and wind causing near blizzard conditions across that region. Now this strong storm system will continue trekking to the northeast, so it won't be affecting our weather really. Rain showers are expected along the southeastern part of Oklahoma into Texas with this storm system, but that also will be trekking off to the east. So it looks like we'll remain dry here across much of green country, but this cold front up across Kansas will be moving through tonight, and that means we will see a taste of cooler weather tonight and tomorrow. But high temperatures today will be warming up nicely. 70s across much of northern Oklahoma, 60s across the Panhandle. But look at temperatures warming up into the 80s across the south, 80s and 90s across Texas. Now we can see the colder weather up to our north, highs only in the 20s and 30s behind that storm system. Once again, we are going to see a little bit of that cooler weather heading our way. Look at our forecast for this afternoon. Calls for windy and warm weather. Mostly sunny skies, temperatures warming up to 76 degrees, but with northwesterly winds at 15 to 30. We will see lake wind advisories in effect for area lakes throughout the afternoon, possibly even some blowing dust by this evening. Now for tonight, we will see clear skies, but it will be turning cooler. Northwesterly winds at 8 to 18, a nighttime low dropping down to 37 degrees. For tomorrow, we should see a very nice day with mostly sunny skies. Cooler than today, though, with northeasterly winds, temperatures warming up to 58. Now, the extended forecast calls for a gradual warming trend as we head through the latter part of the week. Thursday, mostly sunny skies, 40 and 69. Friday, partly cloudy skies, 47 and 75. And for Saturday, warmer weather still with a morning low of 50 degrees. But with partly cloudy skies, temperatures warming up to 74 degrees. And there's that next chance of rain here in Tulsa. Slight chance of thunderstorms Saturday morning and Saturday afternoon.
So it's going to be cooler, but not too cold, and by the weekend it should be pretty warm again.
Really, and temperatures should remain above normal for this time of year.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Well, as Mike mentioned, the skies lit up last night. The northern lights were seen all the way down to Texas and Florida. A few sightings were also reported here in Oklahoma. The unusual solar eruptions created once-in-a-lifetime viewing for southern residents, and police stayed busy because of the lights. They were flooded with reports of wildfires and falling space debris. Ahead on the news, a close-up look at the business of television.
The grand hotels of the last century were destinations in and of themselves because they provided the grace and the space to create friendships. The Broadmoor in Tulsa is in that same tradition. If you desire that grace, are tired of cooking and cleaning, but are not yet ready to retire, call for a free tour of the Broadmoor and find out more about a place where friendships grow.
Time is running out. March 31st is the deadline for enrollment in Total Care 89, IMSA's year-round ambulance subscription program. Emergency ambulance calls average over $450 and non-emergency transfers more than $200. For one low payment of $44, Total Care protects your household against any out-of-pocket expense for ambulance service for a full year. But enrollment ends March 31st, so act now. Pick up an application at Area Quick Trips or call 596-3110.
I never really thought I'd talk about this in public, but I needed a loan. It was the lone reason I went to my bank. Well, then they said, Mr. 5378219, I'll be right with you. I knew they never would. If I was going to get a home, car, boat, or whatever loan with solid backing, I needed to join Bank Customers Anonymous and go state and get complete banking services. Well, I've saved at State's financial centers for years, and now it was State's turn to save me from consumer loan breakdown.
Banking in a solid state.
Baby, I'ma want you. Baby, I'ma need you. Rockabye, baby.
You serious? When it comes to finding out if you're pregnant, there's nothing more accurate than the EPT stick test. If it turns pink, you're pregnant. If it stays white, you're not.
Hello, my baby. Hello, my daughter.
With EPT, you can know for certain if you're having a baby or not.
controversial television program has one Tulsa educator concerned. The news program called Channel 1 is a month-long experiment underway in a half-dozen schools across the nation. Some people say it's an experiment that could put classroom time up for sale. Terry Hood reports.
This is Channel 1 for the next month, this news program will be seen in 6 high schools across the country. If successful, it goes nationwide next year. Channel 1 delivers more than just the news. Its backers would give each school about $50,000 worth of video equipment. It all sounds too good to be true, and some educators say it is.
You know, it's a tough call when we need things as desperately as we need them. Hale could use $50,000 worth of almost anything that would relate to education. But I think at some point the question that one has to answer is at what price?
George Fowler just stepped down as the president of the National Association of Secondary School Principals, one of Channel 1's biggest opponents. The sticking point is the commercials. If Channel 1 went nationwide, it would deliver a bigger audience for advertisers than the Super Bowl. And Fowler says that would take schools into dangerous territory.
The instructional time we have available to us is not for sale.
I also want to mention that we're going to have a statewide election here in Oklahoma tomorrow.
Teachers at Hale use classroom discussion and newspaper clippings to cover current events, sometimes with mixed results. While educators debate the ethics of bringing ads into the classroom, students say they're not concerned.
Not at all.
Why not?
It'd be just like watching TV.
It doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. Because, I mean, now it's on movies and things like that.
It's also in the school cafeteria, on the walls, in the hallway. Fowler says the difference is this doesn't use up class time. But what high school principals want in the classroom and what they get may be two different things. Even Fowler admits we probably haven't heard the last of Channel 1. Terry Hood, Channel 6 News.
If Channel 1 does go nationwide, it would be up to each school board to decide whether to use the program. Several television ministries are in danger of losing their federal tax exemptions. The IRS says it's investigated 23 TV ministries during the last quarter of 1988 in the wake of the PTL scandal. If a ministry loses its federal tax exemptions, future contributors wouldn't be able to claim tax deductions for donations to those ministries. Television has become an integral part of our daily lives. It influences us and sometimes changes us. Today we begin a 3-part series, Inside TV. In the first part, Reed Galen in San Francisco visits a typical American family that lives its life around the tube.
The Nielsen's, family of 5, 4 people into television. Like a lot of families, a lot of days, the people spend more time relating to it than to each other. As a typical family with typical viewing habits, according to studies, the Nielsen's TV drones on more than 7 hours a day, beginning with the morning soaps.
Wait for what? Just wait.
TV's always on. It's kind of my friend during the day.
But Brenda Nielsen shows this friend no loyalty.
Compared to what we do, General Station.
Cable brings the Nielsen's 3 dozen views of the world at any given time.
Back before cable, the TV shut off at a certain time at night.
Steve Nielsen remembers when, before TV became a buyer's, that is to say, viewers' market, when the networks only concerned themselves with one another. Now they are concerned about survival. Network shares are continually falling. But the Nielsen's children don't remember a world without cable and remote control.
If it gets boring, I change the channel.
3/4 of Americans' TVs use remote, and most viewers say they routinely watch now more than one program at a time.
Why don't you look in the TV guide for a change, huh? All right, Nick.
And yes, most families do argue about it.
Keep it on this channel.
He's not watching the TV to watch something specific. He's just looking for something to do.
Are we watching what's on or just watching television itself? Some call it grazing, a way of relating to a medium overwhelming its message.
We live in an age of information pollution. I think we have become an electronic blip culture. There's no question about it, where we have a very short attention span, where you need to change our experiences constantly.
And if TV doesn't deliver,
Shines on me and it shines on you.
the VCR will.
Primetime TV now on a Saturday night used to be a big thing, and it's not anymore. We'll go down and get a tape.
Like the Nielsen's, most families with VCRs rent a tape or two a week. Also recording shows on blank tape where, of course, there is no need to watch commercials. Zipping and zapping.
One hole to another.
The Nielsen's restlessness is a demon chasing advertisers and programmers into ever more startling attempts to be noticed.
Has to be a real thrill.
Yesterday's unapproachable topic becomes this morning's almost mundane discussion.
Is penis size something women actually talk about?
I think television is a probing medium, and it just sticks its nose into everybody's business.
I realize that 90% of that is what's actually happening out there on the street, and that's the way a lot of these people are talking, but I don't want it in my house.
Offense versus enlightenment. As access accelerates, balance is a challenge for every grazing family.
If we don't want it, we have to not watch it. And I can't not watch it.
The more television changes, the more reaction to it stays the same. More choices have not improved the Nielsen's or society's impressions of television programming.
It's getting worse. On the ratings, there's a lot of these shows that I'd cut.
And yet those other Nielsen family ratings are as constant as the criticism. Years ago, the #1 show was a domestic situation comedy. In 1988, different faces, same formula.
To the couch.
It seems the only thing viewers like as much as something new is something old, familiar, even if sometimes familiarity can breed contempt for the electronic idol. This is Reed Galen reporting.
Up next on the news, a variety of books for the clumsiness in all of us.
I'm Saul Fessman, president of Queen City Home Healthcare. I'd like to tell you about a medical product that is very effective and may be at no cost to you. This is the Lift and Recline chair. It is being used by thousands of people who suffer from severe arthritis as a form of treatment in their homes. Best of all, if you qualify, you could receive this chair at no cost. Here's how. You must have a qualifying condition such as severe arthritis or other diseases which make the chair a medically necessary treatment. You must be enrolled in Medicare Part B and have a Medicare coinsurance policy which covers the Medicare deductible and copayment for this type of equipment. Many people suffer from arthritis and cannot get up from a seated position. This chair will give them the freedom to get around and help them avoid falls and injuries. So if you're a Medicare recipient and meet the previous conditions, you can get this lift chair delivered to your door at no cost.
Call now, 1-800-950-9500.
Queen City is commended by the Arthritis Foundation.
Never thought that I'd leave that big old house. All those memories. Children growing up, cooking and baking. Years of doing laundry, mowing grass, washing windows, scrubbing floors. No, I never thought I'd leave it, but I did. I moved to Southern Hills Retirement Apartments, and am I glad.
Southern Hills Retirement Apartments, Tulsa's hallmark of quality.
Things made the traditional way. A birthday wish. Things made the traditional way you can eat. Eckrich smoked sausage, still handmade since 1895, from our house to yours. Things you can trust. An old friend. Things you can trust you can eat. Eckrich beef bologna. Fresh meat, slow cooked, every bite pure beef bologna. From our house to yours.
The house, the lawn, and my thumb are all the same color. Brown.
Call True Green, the Southwest's most trusted expert on healthy green lawns.
Coming up tonight on the news, we'll meet Margaret in today's You've Got a Friend report. She's a perky lady who doesn't let a disability get in her way. And Terry Hood reports on some important repair work going on at the Gilcrease Museum. Join us for those reports and more today at 5 and 6. Well, if you're in the market for some fun and unusual books, Louis Meyer has several he wants to show you. Here's Louis.
All my family lovingly refers to me as Daddy the Klutz.
They're kind of right. It's a major job for me to get a light bulb into a light socket. Well, this morning's show is dedicated to klutzes. I have first the Klutz Book of Juggling, and it says if you can scramble an egg, if you can stumble onto the light switch in the bathroom at night, you can learn how to juggle. And here are our deals to learn to juggle with, and this works. This has sold over 1 million copies. The Klutz Book of Juggling. Then we have the Klutz Book of Marbles. Now, I used to play marbles, and they're fun. You have the marbles that come with it, and then you have about a dozen different variations of the marbles game. And then we have the Klutz Book of Jacks. I used to love to play jacks. I don't know, maybe that wasn't right for a little boy to play jacks, but I used to love to play. But they've got so many, they have one variation of the jacks game in this Klutz book that you do it without a ball. Ha, ha, ha. But here's your Klutz Book of Jacks. And then finally we have, and I have sold this book not only to kids, but to grown-ups, the Klutz Book of Knots. So many people have always wanted to make a knot, and they've just never dared ask people to teach them. Here if you want to make a 2-half hitch, it tells you exactly how to do it, and that's the Klutz Book of Knots. So let me repeat. We have the Klutz Book of Juggling, the Klutz Book of Marbles, the Klutz Book of Jacks, the Klutz Book of Knots. And this old Klutz is glad to see there are a few more in the world.
We need a Klutz book for newscasters.
Well, and I think I need one for that juggling. That looks pretty good.
Looks like fun. That's Channel 6 News for now. Thanks for watching. Join us for more news and weather tonight at 5 and at 6.
Laser technology. Did you know with its precise capabilities we can now clear arterial blockage? Many cases don't even require surgery. This new method is changing life for thousands by eliminating painful leg cramping and putting a stop to a serious progression that could lead to amputation. Reduce your risk. Don't let arterial blockage complicate your life. Call us.
Call the Heart Institute of Tulsa at 599-8900.
Win, lose, or draw.